Hello, hello. Welcome to another edition of Espresso Jams. Today I have Melissa Deely with us, and she is oh my gosh, she's a toxin slayer. Did I get that right, Melissa?
Friendly toxin slayer.
The friendly toxin slayer. Okay. I and I can't help but picturing you as a medieval sword master slaying toxins.
You've almost got that right. I was actually raised in Japan. I have samurai swords downstairs in my living room, and I actually need to get a photo of me slaying toxins with my samurai sword.
We're connected. See that? We're connected.
We
I
are.
love it. Love it. So, Melissa, where do you hail from today?
I am tuning in from Whistler, British Columbia, Canada.
Whistler. There's a famous ski resort in Whistler, isn't there?
You're listening to Espresso Jams, short, concentrated, delicious conversations about business, technology, and entrepreneurship. If you're just starting out on your business adventure or you're a seasoned business professional, I'm sure you'll find value in these short conversations. Espresso Jams is brought to you by 𝐂𝐚𝐤𝐧𝐠, providing the tools, insights, and transformative structures to help you reach your business summit. I'm your host, Joe Matz. Let's get started.
Right outside my window.
Oh my gosh, you lucky girl. Oh my gosh. That's wonderful.
Yes. I came here 33 years ago for one season. Still here.
Wow. Now, I've heard of people who went to ski resorts to check them out or even ski, and they never left. Are you one of
Yep,
those?
that would be me.
You're one of
I'm one of those. I got here, decided it was heaven on earth and that I should stay. So I did.
That's awesome. Where did you move from to Whistler?
Originally, I'm Australian. And I was raised in Japan, as I said, which is why I don't have the Aussie accent. And being Australian, you have to go travel all around the world, right? So I was traveling all around the world, and I'd been in London, England, and I was supposed to go back to a job in London, England. And yeah, Whistler captured my heart.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. I've never been. I'd love to go. Sounds awesome.
Yeah, come visit. It is a beautiful place. You might not leave either.
Uh-oh. Well, I love where I live. I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina. We have a lot of parks around here. We don't have such a snowy winter. We haven't had snow for a few years now. So we met a while ago in a networking group, and we just felt connected. And then we continue that connection, and here we are today talking on Espresso Jams. And tell me one thing here. What is the big problem that you solve for your clients?
I help my clients get to the root cause of their health issue, because when we understand the root cause, then I can guide them through the process of truly healing rather than a Band-Aid solution that triggers another symptom, another illness, because each symptom is the body asking you to pay attention and do something differently.
Okay. Wow. Well, we're going to get into that. But how did this come about that you're a friendly toxin slayer? How did this come about? Was there any indication when you were younger that you'd have your own business in the health field?
Absolutely none. Absolutely none. So, I was in the corporate world. I have a commerce degree. I was meant to go use that in London, England. I do thank my 22-year-old self for choosing to stay in Whistler back then. I had enough sense to realize that banking career in London, England was going to be long hours, high stress. At the end of the day, you go to the pub, you eat crappy food, and you drink a lot of beer, and then you do it all again the next day. Or I could stay in Whistler, where I had nature all around me, and I just felt like it would be a healthier lifestyle. I might make less money, but hey, money doesn't buy happiness either, right?
That's right.
And at that time, it was a very conscious decision about my health and choosing less stress and choosing being in nature. However, I didn't know then what I know today about how impactful on my health and longevity that choice was. And so that's why every day today, I thank my 22-year-old self for making that decision. And I've never once regretted it. But at that time, I also wasn't ever thinking about going into health and wellness, and I went into the corporate world.
Okay, so you still followed that path, but a decision like that for a 22-year-old, that's pretty amazing. I think.
Yeah.
Pretty
Yeah.
unique.
And I honestly, I was guided because I don't know where that knowledge even came from. It wasn't anything that I'd ever studied. And so it was just something that came from inside me that this is what I need to do. And I didn't choose the high stress corporate of the banking world. I got into the hotel business, which is a super fun business. And again, lots of travel, which is my passion, right? But it was still the corporate structure and loved that career, did very well in it. And however, after 24 years, big fish bought little fish and I was let go with an hour to clear out my desk, no word of thanks, goodbye. And in that moment, I knew that I was never working for someone else again. I mean, 24 years of loyalty got me exactly where?
Sure.
Nowhere. And that whatever I did next, I wanted it to be more of service to humanity and the planet because I had started kind of feeling like, what am I doing with my life? I'm helping people have a better vacation, a better business trip. Am I making a difference? So I did have that circling in the back of my head for a couple of years before I was let go. And then the third thing was that I had no idea what I was going to do next, but I was open to being guided. And I looked at it as an opportunity for the second half of my career to do something completely different. And I did get a package. And so that gave me some time and the space to figure that out. And later that year, I was introduced to a company that specialized in brain health supplementation. And I thought that was really interesting because I use my brain 24/7 and nobody ever told me that I could do more for my brain to keep it healthy. And I knew that we had near epidemic levels of Alzheimer's and dementia. But I also knew that I had a grandmother who was 99 years old, still fully cognitively functioning, living at home by herself in her own home and caring for herself. And so I knew I had good genes. Something inside me made me ask, is that enough? And I started comparing her life to my life. And she was born in little old Christchurch, New Zealand, in the bottom corner of the world before all the toxins we have in the world today, and growing all their own food on their property.
Oh, wow.
And I was raised, as I said, in Tokyo, Japan, in the height of the 70s, with manufacturing plants spewing out toxins into the atmosphere and all over me. And I loved growing up in Japan, and I have many good friends there. However, I realized I'm more toxic than my grandmother ever was. And if I want to be on her path, I need to do more in order to make sure I get on that path. So I started learning about toxicity and how it impacts our health, the brain and the body, and also learning what more I could do for my brain health. Because like I said, we use it 24/7. I want my brain to be healthy. And shortly after that, my oldest daughter got a concussion in her first soccer game of the season of her grade 12 year. And she had just started using this supplement as well and had been saying that it was helping her focus and pay attention each afternoon in class. Well, I wasn't working full time. I was interested in the brain, learning about toxicities, et cetera, et cetera. So I started going to her appointments with her so that I could then guide her between appointments, because that's when the healing happens. And she didn't have the cognitive ability to go to the appointment and come home and tell me what they told her to do with this concussion. 2 months after that, I'm driving to Vancouver and I get a phone call from the high school. Could I please go and pick up my younger daughter who has a suspected concussion from grade 8 gym class?
Oh, gosh.
And in that moment, I looked out my windshield, up at the heavens and said, really? This is how you show me my path? Please stop taking out my children. I didn't have any more kids, but I didn't want any more concussions. So now I'm guiding both of them, going to both sets of appointments, 2 very different concussions, and helping them recover. And using good nutrition with the brain supplement, and also as I learned more about nutrition for the brain from our food to help them heal. And the great news is they both fully recovered. But I live in a small town. A lot of people knew our story. People started calling me and asking me, my son just got a concussion. What do I do? My husband has a concussion. What do I do? Or employers calling me. I have an employee with a concussion. How do I bring them back to work? And around the same time, I was also invited to work at a holistic clinic to help others on their concussion healing journey. And we have a lot of expertise here in terms of the physiotherapists in town, et cetera, but nobody else was approaching it from a nutritional standpoint. And so I wanted to do all of this, except that I couldn't get insurance to work in the clinic because I didn't have any certification. So that had me start thinking, okay, what certification can I get? And I'd had life coach bouncing around in the back of my head ever since I'd been let go, but it hadn't landed. And so I hadn't really gone down that path. And now I thought, well, I guess maybe I need to go down that path. So I called a friend who is a life coach and said, where did you do your training? And he said, you don't need to be a life coach. You need to be a health coach. And I said, what? What's that? Never even heard the term. But that landed in that moment. Literally that night, I started, searching health coaching schools, found one that really aligned well. And by the following week, I joined the next cohort and jumped right in. And from there, I've never looked back because I found my passion and my purpose the moment I started learning at a health coaching school.
Yeah.
I sat there and I went, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say your passion is evident. And the reason for jumping into that with your children is it's amazing. I'm so glad they've recovered fully, but it's almost like lighting a fire under you, pushing you in that direction. I got the feeling like
Yes.
you were just pulled in that direction.
I was.
Yeah.
I absolutely was. It was a very clear path. And I look back to being let go. And while, it hurt in the moment of being let go, and especially after 24 years of service and literally no word of thanks, but I look back at it now with gratitude because if it hadn't happened, I wouldn't have found this.
Right.
And this is what I've always meant to be doing. And it was just the path to get me here.
Yes.
And
that's part of the journey.
Exactly. And so one of the first ahas that I had when I started my health coaching courses was, why don't I know this about my own body? I'm in my 40s and I don't know this. And then I went, well, because I've been busy being a wife and a mom and building my career. And if I don't know this, how many other people don't know this? And what if I could start to share this information with other people? And so that has been my mission ever since, is to empower people in their health, to create health education for people in a way that is very easy for them to understand, to start to implement in their life, and for them to realize there isn't just one way to heal, that the body is designed to self-heal, and we just have to create the environment for it to be able to do so. And unfortunately, our modern world with high stress, where we look around and see everyone else stressed out and normalize it, as opposed to thinking we should do something about it, and poor sleep and poor nutrition, has the body in a depleted state and it can't bring itself back into balance. And so that's where looking for root cause, understanding that, running functional medicine labs that show me the deficiencies in the body, then I know exactly how to support the body in coming back into balance, and it will take over and it will heal itself.
So you mentioned that you didn't know these things because you were so busy with life.
Yes.
Getting, corporate, children, marriage, all that stuff. Do you think a lot of people are in that situation today?
Oh, 100%.
Where they're
100%.
so busy we would say living. They're so busy living, they're not learning how to live healthy and prolong the good life. And when I say
Exactly.
good life, I mean good health and energy
Yes,
and vibrant and the brain functioning.
exactly. Because it's not readily available. You have to go seek it out. We get advertisement on television and it's all about the processed foods that's getting advertised, all the fast foods and right? We get a lot of advertising on the television from the big pharma companies. If you've got this, then use this drug, but not if you have this, or it might cause that, etc. Right? These long ads. So that's what comes to us easily.
We don't see many ads that say, eat more fruits and vegetables, get
Exactly.
exercise, take some time for yourself, take a walk.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I don't remember seeing advertisements like that.
Exactly. So you have to go looking for it.
You have to
right?
look for it. You have to be conscious that that's where you need to go. And I think a lot of times, Melissa, people wait until a crisis happens.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Absolutely true.
the person who goes on a diet after, the doctor tells them you're going to die in 6 months, or the person who stops drinking because their liver has failed.
Yes.
Do we need some drastic situation like that to start thinking, oh, maybe I better take care of myself? Would you like to get in front of more of your ideal clients and at the same time build your brand and create evergreen content? Well, you can do that with podcast guesting. This very moment, you're listening to a podcast that may have been published today or 3 weeks ago or 3 years ago. In a very real sense, you're engaging with the speakers, hopefully enjoying yourself and learning something new at the same time. And you're getting to know the guest and how they help their clients, their customers, and the problems that they solve. You may even be their ideal client and want to learn more about them and download one of their free resources you can find in the show notes, or maybe even become a client of theirs. See, when you're a guest on a podcast, you will enjoy that same kind of engagement. It is perhaps the easiest, most cost-effective way to get in front of new audiences. Learn how you can be a guest on the right podcast and engage with your ideal clients with the free resources available at 𝐓𝐚𝐤𝐧𝐠.com.
I think it's what we've been programmed with, unfortunately, and that's the programming that I want to change. My podcast is called Don't Wait for Your Wake Up Call. It's exactly that. It's starting to change that programming. However, many of us have been raised to believe that you don't have to worry about your health. If you get sick, you go to the doctor. They're going to make you better, right?
Yeah.
And that's giving up a lot of your power if you expect someone else to make you better, and is putting a lot of responsibility on the doctor. At the end of the day, your health is your responsibility.
It's your responsibility.
That's not what you've been taught. It's not what's discussed in the school system, right? And so we just take it for granted. And I love people to start thinking about it differently, that your health is actually your greatest asset.
Yes.
Your car and your house are the two assets everybody knows. They're their biggest assets, right? Well, that engine light turns on your car. You're getting curious. What's wrong with my car? I need to call and book it in and find out what's wrong with it. And that's going to cost me $1,200. I don't have that, but I'm going to find the money because I need my car and I'm going to get it fixed. And the house, we take out the garbage, we renovate, we repair, we paint, we, look after the care of our house, we vacuum, et cetera, right? So that we have a safe place to live.
Sure.
But we don't do the same for our body.
No.
Because we don't have the same belief system around the value of our health.
Yes. See, for some reason, when I was young, before I had children, I knew that I wanted to be healthy for the long term. And I expressed it in this way. I expressed it like this. I said, at 30, I'm going to teach my children how to play tennis. I was playing tennis at the time. At 40, I'm going to beat the heck out of them on the court. At 50, I'm still going to beat them, but they might give me a little challenge. At 60, it's up in the air. At 70, I'm going to make them sweat. They might win, but I'm going to make them sweat. At 80, I'm still going to make them sweat, and I think they'll be winning by then. And I expressed the health that way because that was my long-term plan. Very simple. Very simple. But that was my plan, and I integrated that. I don't play tennis anymore, but I hike and I mountain bike, and I think I could still play tennis. And they don't play tennis either, so I'd probably beat them.
Right. Well, I love that, and I love how you really thought about that longevity, right? And that is so important because so much of our health is impacted by what we believe right between our ears, right? If we believe we can heal, we can heal. If we don't believe we can heal, we're not going to heal. So, believing that we can heal is a critical piece of me working with my clients and making sure that they know they can heal. Even if they've had 3 doctors tell them there's nothing we can do for you. That doesn't matter. That means there isn't a drug that's going to fix you. But guess what? There's all these other healing modalities that we can use, right?
Yes, there's such a mind, spirit, and body connection. And
yes.
It's all connected. And I don't get sick. And that's my mindset. If
that's your
someone
mindset,
says,
exactly.
Joe, it looks like you're coming down with something. I'm like, nope, I am not.
Yeah. And that is the power of our mind, right?
Yeah.
And I love that you said that mind, body, spirit connection, because when I call myself a friendly toxin slayer, I coined that because it's way more fun to say than integrative mind, body, health practitioner. Like that's
Absolutely.
A mouthful, right? But what I'm looking at are all 4 bodies. So I will help people detox the physical body. We live in a toxic world and we absolutely need to be detoxing the physical body. And I actually have a quiz to discover your toxic load. Well, that's knowledge about your body. And then you can choose to take action or not, right? People's toxic levels are high because we live in a toxic world. The more we do to release the toxins, the more we lower inflammation, we reset the body, we get the liver functioning back to the way that it should be so it can do more, et cetera, et cetera. But we also detox the mental body, the emotional body, and the spiritual body. Because by the time symptoms are showing up in the physical body, they've already moved through the other three bodies. So we need to clear all the bodies for lasting health.
Yes. Yeah. Now, you mentioned symptoms and causes a lot, and I love that because I know what shows up in our lives, and it could be our health life, financial life, relationship life, love life. What shows up are the symptoms.
Yes.
And sometimes we just work on the symptoms, and the symptoms show up again, and then the symptoms show up again, and we're putting out fires. We're working on the symptoms because we never get to that root cause.
Right.
So I love how you talk about the root cause. If something's showing up as a symptom, you can put a Band-Aid on it. You can feel good. Hey, I fixed that. All right, let's move on. But it's going to show up again.
It will.
You've got to get to the root cause. You've got to find
It
out
will.
what is causing the symptoms.
And that is the miracle of our body, that the symptoms are our body talking to us and asking us to do something differently. But too often, again, we've been programmed, we got to push through. It'll go away if I just, keep pushing through. And we write it off as aging or genetics or seasonal allergies. How many people actually are believing out there that as you get older, you should feel worse, which isn't true at all. It doesn't have to be that way. Right? It doesn't have to be that way. And yet people believe that. Or the medical industry for so long was telling us that, well, if your mother and your sister had breast cancer, you're going to get breast cancer. Well, that's an awful belief to put on someone, and it's not true. And epigenetics shows us that it's not true because only 5 to 10% of all diseases are triggered solely by your genetics, which means in 90 to 95% of the cases, you might have the genetic, be genetically predisposed to it, but it's the environment that you create that determines whether that switch gets turned on. And that's the environment inside your body, namely, mostly in your gut. How many toxins are in your body, what's the inflammation level, et cetera. When that inflammation level gets high enough, that switch to that disease might get turned on. But you can have a body that is inhospitable to disease. You can release your toxins. You can bring your inflammation levels to healthy levels so that switch never gets turned on. And that's what I want people to know. We don't have to accept aging as meaning we feel worse. We can choose to instead listen to the symptoms and go, why do I have this symptom? Whatever it is, maybe it's ringing ears, maybe it's, it's trouble with sleeping that you haven't experienced before. Maybe it's weight gain that you can't get rid of. Maybe it's, gut issues, bloating and gas that are happening. You need to pay attention and not just ignore it. And I love what Hippocrates said, and he said it so many thousands of years ago that it actually boggles my mind that he knew this back then. But he said all disease starts in the gut, and he's right. And so when we listen to our symptoms, we can then get the help that we need in order to get to the root cause. And I use functional medicine lab tests, and the beauty of it is they get mailed to your home. It couldn't be more convenient. And then I get the results. We review the labs, show you what's going on inside your body, and then provide you the protocol of how we're going to rebalance your body.
Okay. Now, I hear a lot about detoxing. What does detoxing involve?
So the detoxing program that I do is a functional medicine one. And what we are doing is we are literally clearing all the toxins out of the body and allowing the liver to start functioning properly again. So the liver in today's world is overburdened by the 144,000 plus toxins that we have introduced since World War II. That's a lot in 80 years. And it's undernourished because of our nutrient depleted soil systems. And the liver process of detoxing is in 2 phases. And phase 2 is where the body converts those toxins to being water soluble so we can excrete them through our urine, our breath, our sweat, and our bowel movements. But we need very specific nutrients for the body to be able to complete that process. And those are the nutrients that are no longer in our soil systems. So they're not in our food. So they're not in our bodies. So our liver can't do that well. So it gets further overburdened, and it's very smart. It's like, I don't want these toxins in the bloodstream, so I'm going to store them in the fat closets and protect the bloodstream. But our fat closets are our brain, in women, our breasts, and then anywhere else where we're carrying excess fat.
That's where they get stored.
Yeah, I don't want toxins running around in my brain. I don't know about you, but I don't. I don't want them in my breasts either, right? I want them out of my body. And so this detox program provides the nutrients that the liver truly needs to get these toxins out. We have a couple fasting days because when digestion is turned on, the body can't self-clean. And how often do we put food in our mouth before the last meal is fully completed digestion, right? Especially working from home, the fridge is right there, right?
Right. Right.
And so we're never getting out of digestion mode. We're not giving our body the chance to self-clean, which it is supposed to do. So we deliberately do this.
Okay. So
program.
let me ask you a question then. To do a detoxing, do I have to, and I hope you say no to all of this, do I have to starve myself, drink terrible tasting fluids or food, and just feel energy depleted because I'm not eating? Do I have to do any of that to detox?
No.
Oh, good. Okay.
So the shake powder that we use, which has the detox formula in it, that also has all the vitamins and minerals that your body needs, tastes great. There's vanilla or chocolate flavor.
Okay, we got that covered.
So we got that covered. And the meals that you eat, I provide the recipes for. They are delicious. I eat them all the time, not just when I'm detoxing. And I love nothing more than having people that have done my programs posting on Facebook, I'm having this for dinner tonight. And they're not even detoxing. They're just having it because they love it, right? Great meals. And depleted energy. I will let you know days 1 and 2 of my program, there is depleted energy.
Okay.
When we kick in and we ask the body to start detoxing, that takes energy, right? And especially if you've never done it before. Once you get into the habit of doing it, the body's like, oh, I know what I'm doing. This is fine. And you're at a place where your toxic load is so much lower that there's not as much toxins to get out. But the first time, that is a couple days of depleted energy. So when I work with my clients, we design their start date around days where they can have depleted energy.
Okay.
What I love about this is it's a 3-week program during which you will have 7 days of fasting. But I'm not asking you to do a 7-day fast because then you wouldn't be functioning by day 3 and you couldn't go about your daily life. You'd have to take vacation. And who wants to do a fast on vacation, right? So we spread it out over 3 weeks. So it's just a couple of days each week. You can handle it. You don't need to take vacation. It's built to work around your everyday life so that you can do this and you can make it a lifestyle.
And how would I feel at the end of those 3 weeks?
You feel amazing. And the thing that I love hearing is when people say to me, I don't remember the last time I felt this good.
Because I want a reward. If I'm going to go through those 3 weeks, a couple days of fasting, drinking my meals sometimes, I want a reward.
Yeah. So that reward is, I don't remember the last time I feel this good. I felt
Okay.
this good.
That sounds great.
For some people, it's better sleep. For some people, it's more mental clarity. For some people, all their aches and pains go away. Like months and years of aches and pains. I had one woman who couldn't get out of bed and walk to the bathroom in the night without having to put on special orthotic shoes because it was so painful for her to walk barefoot. She hadn't even finished the first week before she told me that she could stand on her bare feet in the middle of the night.
Wow.
Life-changing.
Yeah,
life-changing.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And that it's so easy to do. And the first time we do a 21 day because people are toxic. But then quarterly, we do a 7 day. Well, the 7 day is so much easier than the 21 day anyway. And as I said, the body starts to get used to it. You build your metabolic flexibility, which is where you get good health from. And you feel great as you make this a lifestyle. And that's what I want. That's how you create a body that's inhospitable to disease.
Yeah, that sounds great. You know, Melissa, this has been a very educational conversation with you. We didn't get around to talking about business, but we got into talking about something very important, which is health. And thank you for sharing all of this information with myself and with the listeners. I hope they've learned like I have learned during our time together. What can people do if they want to know more about what you do and how you help with health?
Sure. They can simply go to my website, yourguidedhealthjourney.com. There's a couple tabs at the top. One's programs that they can look at the different programs I offer. And then I also have trainings. So trainings is where I'm teaching people to be able to implement these different health tools and modalities into their life so they can take it away and do it for themselves.
Okay.
And I love that because you have this knowledge and then you have it for life and you can also share it with your loved ones. And you're right, we didn't talk about business. However, it comes back to our health being our greatest asset because you can't build your business from your sickbed. You can't build your career from your sickbed. So the first thing is when you have your health and then everything else flows and you have the energy to build an incredible business.
Right. Yes. And it's always important to have that energy. As business takes energy.
It does.
Yes. Super. And so we're going to have your website in the link below. And so folks can go there and learn more about you and learn how to take care of their health.
Wonderful. And like I said, I'll also give you the quiz so people can take the Discover Your Toxic Load quiz and learn, where their body's at and why they might be having the symptoms they're having. And it might just create awareness that they're even having symptoms that they had previously ignored.
So this is a free quiz that people can
Free
take.
quiz.
And how would
Yes.
they get to that quiz, Melissa?
Can I send that to you to drop it into the show notes as well?
You certainly
It's also on my website.
It's also
It is
on your website.
My website.
Okay,
yes.
well that's important too. It is on your website, and we will have the links to all of that in the show notes.
Wonderful. And the website, I don't think I said it, but it's yourguidedhealthjourney.com.
Yourguidedhealthjourney.com. Okay, great. Melissa, thank you very much.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here, Joe. And I just want people to know they don't have to do this alone. And that's why I call it Your Guided Health Journey. I'm here to support you every step of the way.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Bye now.
Thank you for listening to Espresso Jams. If you like what you heard, please subscribe on your preferred channel and never miss another episode. If you'd like more business tips on technology, entrepreneurship, and doing better, you can find me on LinkedIn at Joe Matz, that's JoeMatz, or go to my website, 𝐓𝐚𝐤𝐧𝐠.com. That's apex-able.com. I'm your host, Joe Matz, wishing you an awesome day.